here we are. Another one of my coming out Q&As. And I do think that several of these questions are a little more serious than I kind of expected. Well, as for how it really affects my day-to-day life, I don't know, I guess I've really always kind of thought my life was different. Up until recently, I was always kind of confused because I just never really had any people really talk to me about this. I mean, some parts of the LGBT spectrum came up more often than others, being gay primarily, occasionally trans, but never anything in really too much detail. So because I didn't really feel like I had anyone to talk to or any role models or anyone to look up to or anyone to explain that issue about, what a couple of my feelings could have meant. I honestly just didn't really understand it up until a few years ago. But as for how I feel it's affected me, since I've, opened up with myself, since I've done the research, I actually do feel a lot better now, knowing that this is, part of, who I am at this moment. Just realizing that I am who I am. And in all honesty, well, in all honesty, I feel better now that I know that bit about who I am. As for whether or not people have been accepting, generally for the most part, yes. People have been accepting, but I guess the biggest way that it affects me and my relationships with other people is just the fact that, for the most part, with the people that don't understand it fully, and there have been, quite a few people who don't understand it fully. I myself don't understand it fully. But the most common thing I get is, well, this just isn't because of your orientation, but whatever. People think that because of my orientation, like, I've had people where they think that they're singling me out or they're treating me different, so they try and assure me otherwise. This has been with friends, this has been with family, this has been, everyone I've told who doesn't understand it. On occasion, has said, well, this isn't because of your orientation, or this isn't because of who you're attracted to, or, some version of that. Had that a lot. Yeah, this is kind of more of a difficult thing. Now, first off, if this is true, and I'm not saying it's not, but if this is true, you need to find some way to get out of that relationship. Because that's just not a healthy way to live, whether or not you are pansexual. Secondly, you need to find somebody who you can trust, and who you can talk to, and who you can open up with. And based off of that information that you got, I would go with somebody else. Now, if this is true, and again, I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, but if this is true, go talk to some professional about this. Somebody you can trust, whether it be, the person in the house across the street, or the cops, or whatever. Tell them exactly, you don't necessarily have to include whether or not, you don't have to include your orientation if you don't want to. I would at least talk to them about this other person's actions. Well, at least we have another kind of question about somebody being confused about it. Not necessarily somebody being angry, just somebody being confused. Objects. I've already kind of explained this. It is pansexuality does not mean anything about liking objects. Pansexuality is, at least for me, the ability to be attracted to a person regardless of their gender or sexual orientation. It does not mean anything about liking objects. Now, when it comes to that, when it comes to like the actual question, all I have to say is I like that about as much as the next person. Now, when it comes to the, whether or not I'm attracted to trans women, men and women, or cis men and women, this is the part where it gets kind of confusing. In my opinion, a person can be attracted to somebody who's trans and somebody who is male, in my opinion, or female. One specific gender. Male and trans, let's just say. In my opinion, if they like only those two, that still counts as bi. Because they only like two. If they like, let's say they like men, women, and trans, that's not bi. But because it is limited to just those three genders, then it's not pansexual, in my opinion. So, if you like somebody, if you like two different genders, regardless of whether it's male and female, or trans and cis, or, whatever, if you only like two, then it's bi, in my opinion. If you're attracted to people regardless of what their gender is, in my opinion, it's pansexual. I barely feel comfortable answering that with my close friends. I'm not putting my sexual shit on the internet when it comes to whether or not I have sex or how I have sex. I'm not putting that on the internet. Least of all, how I have sex. That's just because, in my opinion, how I have sex is between the privacy of myself and the person I have sex with. Or myself and the people I have sex with. Now, again, I'm not saying anything about who or how I have sex. It's just a matter of privacy. On that note, I am willing to open up about a lot when it comes to this. So, if you want to ask me a question, any question, make sure you include the hashtag VlogMNQ&A. If you have a question about my coming out video, make sure you use both the hashtag VlogMNQ&A, and the hashtag Pansexuality.